Heart and Soul miniseries Adventurelands Part 18. After seeing how amazing their spells had been, I decided to re-up and give it my best shot. I stepped up to the fence, concentrating on making a solid black wall in front of me. I pushed the button and carefully pulled my controller back, pulling the trigger-shaped B button on the bottom. I was focusing so hard on the image of that solid black wall that I barely noticed when the bolt smashed into me. I did notice when I hit the ground. Hard. I even accidentally cried out, "Ow! My ovaries!" Even with my head still ringing from the impact, I couldn't miss the snickers and jeers from the class around me. Everyone except Cat and Canine. They both rushed to my side to check if I was okay. It wasn't until I groaned out that I was fine that their tense expressions slowly broke. I was mortified, but somehow, seeing their concerned faces felt so nice that I decided I would make these two like me or die trying. I got up, hurrying back to the button. As soon as I did, I could feel the entire class's attention on me. Mr. Peralta hurried over and snapped at the class. "Don't you all have something you should be doing?" The rest of the class hurried back to work. He turned his attention back to me and looked me up and down, then put his arm around my shoulders and pulled me away from the class. I could feel Cat and Canine's attention on us, even though they were still facing their respective targets and pretending to practice. When he gently pulled me away from the row of targets, I first noticed just how strong Mr. Peralta was. He acted really informal, but he was strong enough to do almost anything he wanted to do, physically or magically. I felt surprisingly safe as he pulled me along, away from the training ground. Once we were out of earshot, he turned and pinned my very soul in place with just his eyes. Then he calmly, quietly, and very seriously asked, "What flavor is your magic? I have almost everyone else down, but do you even have magic? If not, I can't imagine Dragon would let you into this class. It's specifically for more powerful mages." All I know for sure is that every year on my birthday, something destroys everything around me. If not for the headmaster taking me in like she did, I would have wound up dead. Probably as a baby, at the hands of a pissed off nun. So I'm fairly sure that I have some kind of magic, but no one can seem to find or understand it. His piercing glare swept over me. It felt like he was measuring my very soul. After a few moments, he turned and walked me back to everyone with his arm around my shoulders. Then loudly announced, "Until I say otherwise, blank is exempt from the magical practice during class. Now, get practicing yourselves or I'll let Max test your shield." That made the large boy smile wickedly, and the entire class turned their full focus on their shields. Then Mr. Peralta turned his attention back to me and quietly said, "I have some ideas, but we'll need to test them after class. I have too many students to give you the kind of time you'll need for this. I thought I'd seen every kind of controller before, but I'd never seen any, uh, but, but I'd never thought I'd see one that I can't see." I tapped the two halves of my controller together, and they made a strange, static, metallic, plasticky sound. It was unlike anything you could hear outside of my world. It was like something was trying to make the sound of plastic controllers tapping together, but had never heard it before, so made something up on the spot. There are too many witnesses now to try some of the ideas I have brewing. You're free to go home for the day. Come back after dinner time, around 8. I wasn't happy about being sent home early, but I couldn't deny that I loved the idea of spending time with Mr. Peralta alone at night. He was handsome and so young that I couldn't help thinking he might have something else on his mind. On my way home, I realized that I'd never actually seen another professor even half as young as him. I wondered who he was and how he was teaching here without having spent enough time in the fields and or safety crystal mines to have at least solo killed one dragon or two, like every other professor had done. I'd missed most of the larger events in the last few years on purpose. Well, part of my plan to make sure no one found out who my mom is. Thanks to that, I must have missed any demonstrations of his magic. For the first time, I began to regret it. I could only guess that he must be something extra special if the headmaster mom was willing to keep him around, especially since there was no way he was old enough to have actually fought with or killed any players. Normally, after graduating, every PKer goes out into the world to make their chosen name known by killing every player who has accrued bounties, or uncovering something, or by killing every player who has accrued a bounty, or uncovering and sometimes preventing plots that would violate the rules or the spirit of the game. Some people will always attempt to cheat at any game,